In a world so full of distractions, bad news, and negative influences, how is it that you can take control of your thoughts to feel good whenever it is you want to? My name is Brandon Eastman with Be Better Industries, and today we're going to talk about how to take control of your emotional fitness. Today, we're going to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is how to feel good. We're going to go over some simple strategies that you can use to feel the way that you want to whenever it is you want. Now, I remember years ago, I was working for a sales company, a company that I still work for today, and my number one goal was simply to be the best. I wanted to be number one, and I remember I was making a lot of money. I was buying all the things that I wanted. I had the car I wanted. My wife and I were taking all the trips that we wanted to take. We lived where we wanted to live. We had all the toys that we can imagine. But I was not fulfilled. I wasn't happy with where I was in life. There were so many mornings when I would wake up and I didn't want to get out of bed. All my friends reached out to me asking me to hang out with them, and I said, man, listen, I'm not feeling it right now. I'm not feeling like I want to go out and do anything. And I found a mentor who said, Brandon, if you want to feel better, then you need to read this book called The Secret. It's a book by Rhonda Byrne that essentially says one thing. If you want to feel good, you need to think good thoughts, because good attracts good and bad attracts bad. Essentially, the principle is your thoughts become things. If you think great thoughts, you'll bring great experiences and people and circumstances into your life. But if you think negatively, then you'll also attract a lot of negative influences. So I remember reading it, and it was so far out there for me that I thought to myself, this is the complete opposite of what I've been doing. So what's the worst that could happen if I at least tried doing what Rhonda Byrne suggested? Well, I did. I started thinking for myself. I started consciously choosing my own thoughts. I remember in the book, Rhonda says a line that says, remember to remember. And what that means is, remember how you're feeling throughout the day, every single day. Ask yourself the question, how am I feeling right now? And if the feeling isn't what you want to be experiencing, then you have the power to change it. And today we're going to talk specifically about how to change the way that you feel. But before we can talk about how to change a thought in order to feel a better way, first we need to understand what a thought actually is. So let's take a look. At the top here, we have a thought. Now, thoughts can come from external influences, such as someone cutting you off in traffic, or you get a promotion, or you see someone else get a promotion, or you see or hear or smell, or anything to do with your senses, something around you happens, which causes you to think a certain way. Now, thoughts can also simply go into your imagination. Thoughts can go into your mind, because your brain acts as a receiver and a transmitter of information. Just like your television gives off radio waves, just like your radio gives off a frequency, and just like your cell phone gives off waves and vibrations to the cell phone tower and back, your brain gives off vibrations as well. Now, we're going deep on some of this stuff, so just bear with me. If this is new to you, I would recommend looking into it. But all you need to know is what we're going to talk about with the strategies. But I want you to know what a thought actually is. So thoughts can simply come into your mind. And just because you think something doesn't necessarily mean that it's your thought. You choose whether to accept a thought or not, okay? So no matter how the thought comes into your mind, it's there. And from there, we do several things. The first thing that happens when we have any kind of thought is we attach a meaning to that thought. We attach a meaning or an explanation to any situation or circumstance or thought that comes into our mind. As an example, if someone walks up to you tomorrow and says, "Those shorts make you look fat," you decide how that makes you feel. Now, obviously, your first gut reaction is going to say, screw this guy. Who does he know? Why does he think that? Look at him. He's not in the best shape himself. But regardless, that was an external stimuli. And when that happens, when he says that those shorts make you look fat, you had a thought which turned into you creating a meaning. That meaning being, this guy's a jerk. Okay? Now, what if that person said, those shorts make you look bad, and you attach a meaning of, he might be having a bad day today. He might have said that to me because his wife just broke up with him, or his girlfriend broke up with him, or his pet's having an illness, or someone in his family is sick. Things would be completely different if we attach a different meaning to something. Let me give you another example. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You're going 65 on the highway. Someone flies by you going 90 miles an hour, and they cut right in front of you. Our first reaction is to assign a meaning that this person's a jerk. This person's a hazard to society, which might be true if they're going 90 miles an hour flying past you and all the other traffic. But what happens if you attach a meaning to that event? And that meaning is, oh, this guy's flying by me because he must really have to use the bathroom. This guy's got to pee. Or maybe the person in the passenger seat was his wife and she's about to give birth. Maybe she's in labor right now and they're flying by everyone so fast because they have to get to the hospital to give birth to their baby. Things change drastically when you decide to give a different meaning to something, okay? Because once you have a thought and once you attach a meaning to that thought, you take action. You do something. That something could be you saying something to the person who said you look fat in those shorts. That something could mean you're feeling even more frustrated behind the wheel because that person cut you off. That something could be something destructive that leads you down an entire path of bad thoughts. And this is why we all know a negative person in our life. And every day it seems like that person's in a bad mood. Even when something good happens to them, that person is attaching a negative meaning and taking action based on that meaning. As an example, meaning is usually subconscious. We're so used to thinking thoughts and we're so used to attaching meaning that we do it without even noticing it. But after you watch this, and after you apply the strategies that we're going to talk about, you are going to realize that you are in control of what you're thinking. You are in control of the meaning that you attach to circumstances. And as a result, you are in control of the action that you take. Because the actions that you take lead to your results. And your results are what shape your life. Because if you get a result and it's not the result that you want, you simply try something different. But once you start having thoughts and attaching the meaning to those thoughts that are constructive for you, that bring you to the place that you want to get to, then your actions will reflect that. And then you'll start achieving your goals. You'll start finding the friends that you want to hang around. If you're single and you're looking for a relationship, you'll find the person that you were looking for because you're thinking in a different way. You're attaching different meaning to those thoughts, meaning that leads you down a path of constructive and positive action, which results in positive outcomes, positive results, you achieving your goals. Essentially, you feeling the way that you want to feel. So now you're saying, okay, I know exactly what thoughts are. So how can I change a negative thought when I have it to something that will serve me better? Well, there's something called our internal representation. Because what you'll notice is that whenever we have a thought or a feeling, we're playing out that thought or feeling in our mind's eye as we experience it. And we're playing it out in terms of our 5 different senses, such as visual, auditory, smell, perhaps, taste, and feeling. The way that we feel when we have a thought. So right now, to give you an example of this, I want you to think about some point or time in your life where you felt extremely good about something. Think about a time where you were extremely happy. You were experiencing a feeling of ecstasy. You felt like everything was going your way. You felt absolutely confident. You felt on top of the world. Maybe now that you're thinking about that, see in your mind what you saw when you were experiencing that feeling. Maybe you saw the faces of your friends all around you, or you saw something that you achieved after months and months or years of trying. And now think about what you heard as you experienced this feeling. Did you hear the voices of people around you that had a happy tonality? Did you hear laughing? Did you see people smiling? Now see that image in your mind, and is it a bright image or is it a dim image? Is it far away from you or is it close up to you? Is it in focus or is it out of focus? When I think about something that makes me feel extremely happy, I think about my wedding. I married my wife a few years back and we went to Mexico, and it was right on the ocean on the beach. And I hear the waves in the background. I can actually smell the smell of the salt from the ocean. I can literally taste lavender and the sea salt. And the feeling I experience is through my mid-body. I can actually feel the feeling of happiness, feel the feeling of ecstasy. It's a warm feeling, okay? Now, what is it for you? Think about something that made you extremely happy. Because we create pictures and videos in our mind that go with these feelings. Like if I asked you to visualize my face in your mind right now, you might not necessarily want to do that, but you're able to. Just like if I said, visualize a picture of a blue elephant in your mind, you'd be able to do that. Have you ever asked yourself why you've been able to do that? You've never really needed to know. But the beautiful thing is, once you know that you create pictures and videos and other sensations in your mind that go along with how you feel, you're able to take control and use them to your advantage. Now, just like you've just used this to feel something good, now I want you to think about something that doesn't make you feel so good. Think about a time in your life where you might have felt anxious, or you might have been depressed about something, or sad, or let down. Just think about a moment like that. Some of you might know more of those moments than happy moments, because some people identify with feelings. They identify with being depressed. They identify with being an anxious person. Or they say, I just overthink. All I do is overthink things. Listen, overthinking things just means that you have a brain that works. We all think about a lot of things. It's called having a brain, okay? It's everyone, not just you. So now think about something that makes you feel not so great. And then ask yourself those same questions. What do you see when you think about something that doesn't make you feel great? What do you hear? Do you hear maybe not many voices at all? Maybe you're alone in this picture. Maybe you're even lonely. Or maybe you hear crying or whimpering or cries for help. What do you smell in this case? What do you taste? And how do you feel when you have that feeling of depression or anxiety? Think about someone who is always depressed or sad. How is their breathing? Usually it's pretty shallow. They're not using their body very well to make themselves feel good. Their breathing is shallow. Their head is down. Their shoulders are down with it. The way they talk is lower. They talk with not enough breath in their voice. But think about someone who's happy or enthusiastic or always energized. They always have good posture for the most part. No one's always happy, but their shoulders are back. They walk with a purpose. Their voice is coming from their diaphragm, not from their head voice. Everything about them is more upright because your physiology can also affect how you feel, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now you're going to notice the way that you felt when you thought about the bad emotion. Obviously, we don't want to feel that a lot, but the picture was probably a lot dimmer. If it was a video, it was probably moving a lot slower. When the video of you being happy was quick, it was bright, it was in focus, for most people at least. It can be different for everyone. So what you just did, by the way, was you decided to feel the way that you wanted to feel. I asked you to feel a good emotion. I guarantee that you have something in your life you can feel absolutely good about, and you just did it. And then I asked you to feel a negative emotion, and you were able to snap right there and go to that. That might have been easier for a lot of people. That might be why you're watching the video right now. And the beautiful thing is, when you feel that bad emotion, you can switch that to a good one whenever it is you want to, which leads us to our first strategy. Whenever you're feeling a way that you don't want to feel, the very first thing that I would recommend you do is practice what's called The 90-second rule. No, it's not when you drop food on the floor and it's still good to pick it up and eat it. That's not what I'm talking about. The 90-second rule is when you have a negative thought or a disempowering emotion that you want to change. This could be when you wake up in the morning and you don't want to get out of bed. This could be when you're about to go into the grocery store and you have that feeling of anxiety because you don't want to be around people. This could be when you're about to go into an important work meeting and give a speech that's 10 to 20 minutes or more to everyone in that meeting. If it's not a good feeling, then you can change it. But this is important to notice. Everybody has the same emotions. All human beings experience doubt. They experience depression or anxiety or nervousness or loneliness. And all human beings also have feelings of ecstasy, of happiness, of energy. We have bad feelings and we have good feelings. Okay? We all experience all of these things. Now, even people who say, I'm always depressed, that's not true, because I know depressed people, and some of them I've actually helped so they weren't depressed, but the funny thing is, they say they were depressed, but they had moments in their day that were absolutely good. They had smiles on their faces. They had happy moments with their family, but they were always looking for what was wrong versus looking for the things in their life that were going well. It's about what you focus on. If you focus on the bad, you're going to feel bad. If you focus on the good, then you'll feel good. And what the 90-second rule says is if you feel bad or you're feeling a way that you don't want to feel, first thing is recognize it. Recognize how you feel and notice it. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And if it's a way that you don't want to feel, the second thing is how do you want to feel? Rather than anxious, ask yourself, how do I want to feel right now? Would I rather feel confident? Would I rather feel motivated? Would I rather feel like I can absolutely go into any situation and conquer it? That seems like it'd be a lot more productive and smarter than feeling anxious. Think about it. What does anxiety do for you? Well, it could keep you safe. But you know what? In reality, in today's world, unless you're living in the Middle East or you're living in a poverty-stricken neighborhood, which is 100% possible, then you might not want to choose to feel that anxiety as much as you might want to feel energy and enthusiasm. It just seems a lot smarter to want to feel that way versus a negative way. And you might be saying, yeah, but I just can't help it. By you saying that you just can't help it, that means that the only option you're giving yourself is the option to feel bad. You haven't yet tried allowing yourself to feel good. Because the third thing and the final step of the 90-second rule is think about a time where you felt that way. Where you felt good. Think about a time where you've actually felt energized, where you've actually felt confident, and see that in your mind. See the image or the video that you're seeing. Make it brighter. Bring it closer to you. Take that feeling that you're feeling, that feeling of confidence, that feeling of enthusiasm, and spin it faster and faster. You might be asking, what does that mean to spin it? Feel that feeling you're experiencing and notice the direction that it goes in your body. When I feel confidence, I feel it in my torso and my upper body. And I take that feeling and I spin it faster and faster so I'm amped. Within a few seconds, I can be absolutely on top of the world, confident, in your face, confident. And the beautiful thing is you can do that same exact thing. Because you and I, we have the same nervous system. We feel the same emotions. We can use the same strategy to feel the same exact way if you choose to do so. So the 90-second rule is this. Recognize what you're feeling. Because if it's a bad emotion, that's okay. That means that you're human. But you don't have to stay there. Because step 2 is, how do you actually want to feel? If you're feeling anxious, but you just want to feel content, then move to step 3. Think about a time where you felt good. Think about a time where you felt confident, where you felt content, where you felt fulfilled. And see in your mind what you saw and step into that feeling once more. Because if you felt it once, you can feel it as often as you want to. That's the beauty of it. That's called thinking on purpose. So that's the 90-second rule. The second strategy that I want to give you is what we talked about earlier, which is your physiology. If you're feeling bad or down or depressed or anxious or tired or you don't want to get out of bed, the quickest way to change that is to change how you're using your body. Making a dramatic change in the way you're using your body can make you feel a completely different way. As an example, think about a time where you really didn't want to go to the gym. Okay, I'm sure we've all had a day like that, some more than others. You might have had that feeling today. And now, ask yourself, what happened when you went to the gym that time, when you felt like you didn't want to be there? You walked in, you were tired, you took your coat off, you hung it up, and you're thinking, oh, I really don't want to be here today. But what happened when you went out onto the floor and you grabbed that first dumbbell or barbell or weight machine or anything and you started working out? Or you got on the treadmill and you started walking. Once you started moving, once you started getting your blood rushing, you felt a lot better, because you made a drastic change in your physiology. Try this. If you're ever sitting on the couch and you're feeling demotivated, or if you ever just can't get out of bed one morning because you're just not feeling it, it's going to be one of those days, then jump out of bed with energy, stand up, clap your hands together, and say to yourself, I got this. Today is going to be one hell of a day. Because while it might seem out there and your significant other might hate you for doing it, you know what? You're going to feel a lot better because you just took the first step towards changing how you feel. And if you can change how you feel on a consistent basis, then you can change the complete outcome of your life and the trajectory that you're on. And the third thing, quite possibly the most important thing if you want to change the way you feel, is get around positive people. Get around people who charge your battery. Don't spend time around people who drain you. Only spend time around those people where after you spend time with them, you say to yourself, wow, I feel like so much better after spending time with Joe. Or every time I hang out with Nancy, I leave that interaction just feeling on top of the world. She's just so energetic. She's just so positive. I love that person because they always make me feel good. And you know what? You got to be that person. You got to be the person where after someone spends time with you, you left them causing them to feel better. My goal, whenever I'm in an interaction with everyone, is I want to leave that person feeling better than when I first stepped into their life. Think about the impact that you can make on people in the world just by walking by somebody and smiling. Think about the difference you can make with a simple smile or a simple conversation. Or even just buying a coffee for the person in front of you at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. Just think about what that $3 can do to someone's life. Think about the hope you can instill in people through simple actions such as a smile or an act of goodness or an act of happiness or an act of charity. Think about what you can do. Now, if you're asking yourself, well, I don't know how to find positive people. Where do I find people who are happy? Some advice I have for you is think about an area of your life that you want to improve in, a skill or ability that you want to get better at. For example, let's use public speaking because this is something that I do. I want to get better at public speaking, so I'm in a club called Toastmasters. It's an international organization that's designed to help you improve in your public speaking ability. Now, the cool thing about Toastmasters is it's full of people who want to also improve in that skill, but the other thing is 99% of them are positive people who only want to see you improve and grow, especially the leadership in the club. So, in short, they're out there. You just have to look for them because seek and ye shall find. If you look for positive people, if you look for new friends, not friends who are deadbeats, not friends without jobs, not friends who talk about the bad news all the time. If you find people who charge your battery, you will live a happier life because you are the average of the 3 people that you spend the most time around. That's a quote from Jim Rohn, and it's a quote into practice that has absolutely changed my life, and I know that it can change your life too. You're watching this video because you want to improve. You want to change how you feel. And the more that you do these things, the more that you practice the 90-second rule, the more often that you use a drastic change in physiology to feel better, the more that you get around positive people, the more automatic the way you feel becomes. The more days that you go through where you feel good for most of the day. eventually you're going to look back at this time where you wanted this help, this time where you seeked the advice to feel good. You're going to look back on it and say to yourself, wow, look at how far I've come in the course of a year or two. Look at how far I've come in the course of a month or 6 months. Look at what I can do. And you know what you're going to say? If I can do this, what else can I do? The world is your oyster. It's a weird quote, but it's absolutely true. By controlling how you feel and controlling the people you hang around, the more you can take control of your life. And recently, I published a book called Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery, where I have an entire chapter dedicated to emotional mastery. This book goes over the 5 key areas of life and how you can master them, using techniques that I've used myself to take control of my own life and the separate areas in my life. I didn't create these techniques myself. I found mentors who helped me learn these things, and I applied them and I used them to feel the way I wanted to feel, to look the way I wanted to look, to get my money situation the way I wanted my money situation to be. And I want to give you a free copy of this book. I want to give you a free digital download of this book. All you have to do is go down into the description, click the link below, go to that webpage, put in your email, and I'm going to send you a free copy of this book. And my advice is this: go to the chapter that you most need. If you're watching this video, it's probably your emotional mastery you need to master right now. Go to the end of the chapter after you read it, and there's a 7-day challenge. After each challenge, I can promise that you'll be farther along than you were at the beginning. And once you complete the challenge, you'll recognize that you are in total and complete control of your life and how it turns out. You understand the principle of extreme ownership. If you want to feel good, you have to think thoughts that cause you to feel good. You got to get around people that help you to feel good. And this book, to get your free digital copy, hit the link below. This book also has strategies that we didn't mention in this video or training here. So make sure you get your copy, click the link below. If you like this video, hit like so more people can see it. The YouTube algorithm loves that. And then hit subscribe to see more content like this. And I'll see you next time.